into a little bit of trouble for refusing to wear the Black Lives Matter badge on Sky. I didn't think it was the right thing to do. I think you're absolutely right. You show by your actions that you're not racist. You don't have to take a knee to anyone or anything. So yeah, I wasn't particularly enamoured with the England team doing that. What I've come to realise is the government do not want a healthy set of people that are capable of thinking for themselves. That's exactly the opposite of what they want. It wasn't ever about, I've had people kind of going, oh, you're just trying to stay relevant because you got sacked by Sky and all that stuff. And you're like, well, actually, I was working for Sky when all this kicked off, so that's not it. The whole point of all of this has been about the future of the children, the kids' futures. That's what it's all about. I've got kids, and I want them to have a future that they can look forward to, where they're free to do stuff that we were free to do when we were growing up. And looking back, there's probably stuff that our parents' generation were even freer than we were. It's been a gradual decline in these freedoms that we've been allowed. And at the moment, I think this is the greatest attack on humanity that there's probably ever been, quite frankly. They're doing it very covertly, very cleverly, with legislation and getting corrupt people in all the right places in organisations. And it's been a plan that looks to me has been in place for a long, long time. They've worked very hard at it, and they've fooled a lot of people with it. I tend to not let negativity into my life. Quite frankly, I think it's one of the best things you can do. So I've tended not to take any notice of any of the bad stuff that people write about you, because I know that I'm a good person. I know where I'm coming from. I know I'm coming from a position of love, as you say. My love of humanity, my love of wanting the best for my children, and so that stuff doesn't bother me at all. They can write whatever they want about me, but they'll never change my mind about the way that I feel about myself. I know that I'm a good person, and I know I'm doing the right thing. I might not be right about everything. That's something completely different. I might not be right about 100% of things, but what I am prepared to do is if I'm wrong, I'm prepared to hold my hand up and go, oh, sorry, I was wrong about that one. I do apologise, because I don't have that ego where I feel like I have to be right all the time. If I'm wrong, I hold my hand up and say I'm sorry. And that's something that a lot of people on the other side can't do, and they refuse to do. And so, they can write whatever they want about me. It's water off a duck's back. It really is. I can't tell you how easy it is for me to back that. Of people like us who are able to question things, who are able to think critically about things and not just take it on face value what we're being thrown at. There are other issues that you have to take into consideration when you get this information coming towards you. You have to be able to discern, where that information has come from, what agenda is behind that information, who funds the people that are putting this information out. All those kind of things need to be taken into consideration when you actually take on board the information that you get, and you have to be able to evaluate all of that before then deciding for yourself whether that information is actually coming from a good place, or is it coming from a place where there's conflicts of interest. And that's the biggest thing that I've had to learn to do over the last few years. And you don't get it right all the time, but if you think a little bit about it, it just gives you a little bit more clarity to be able to make a better decision in what you think is right and wrong. And I noticed an increase in what was happening, and I tried to raise the alarm with the Professional Footballers Association and the Football Association in this country, also with FIFPro, the Worldwide Players Union, and because I was concerned of what I was seeing, and I wasn't even I never suggested it was to do with the thingy. All I was suggesting was that I'm watching a lot of sport and I'm seeing this happening. Why is nobody doing an investigation to find out why it's happening? Because we didn't know why. Nobody knew why it was happening. People had ideas why it might be happening, but nobody knew why. The thing that was worrying me is that nobody cared about the increase and were willing to do something about it. Were willing to investigate and find out why there was an increase. And that was my biggest bugbear, and that's why I kind of kicked up a bit of a stink. And I think for me, the fact that they didn't want to investigate it, all that tells me as a critical thinker is they know what it is, and they don't want other people to know. And that's as simple as it gets. Otherwise, from a purely humanitarian point of view, you've got sports people falling over on their pitches at a rate that was never happening before, and nobody's giving a stuff about it. Nobody's even caring to want to investigate what's going on. And that for me was scandalous. I've never really had a great amount of trust in politicians, if I'm honest. I've never really voted at all because I didn't like most of what I heard coming out of politicians' mouths. I always felt like they never came across as particularly honest and doing their job for the good of their people. A lot of them seem to be doing it for the good of themselves or for the good of their paymasters. I wasn't particularly concerned about what was going on in the world around me. I was in my own little bubble of being a professional footballer and then working in the media afterwards, just going about my life, and wasn't really bothered in politics and things like that at all. I just wanted people to just leave me alone, let me earn a wage, feed my family, have a nice life, and thanks very much. I'll ride off into the sunset after that. And so, yeah, I can understand why people are like that. I had a moment in 2020, around February or March 2020, when I suddenly saw, I started reading and suddenly saw what was going to be coming down the line, and I didn't like what I was reading. And at that point, the government started having too much interference in my life. And I decided that this was the time that I need to speak up, and that's what I did, and knowing full well what the implications of that were going to be. But I felt like it was too important to not speak up, and if by speaking up means that I earn half as much as what I did 3 years ago, then so be it. That's not the important bit. The important bit is that we try to stop the evil that's going on in the world at the moment. There was parts of me that always kind of knew something perhaps wasn't particularly right in this world. And then March 2020 probably just confirmed all those nagging thoughts that I'd had in my head about politicians and the corruption that goes on at high levels of governments. I just wanted people to just leave me alone, let me earn a wage, feed my family, have a nice life, and thanks very much. I'll ride off into the sunset after that. And those people were ignored, they were censored, they were ridiculed.
Matt, you scored, 47 times out of 48?